Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here on this the 14th of December, Wednesday, December 14th, 2022. Thank you for tuning in. Now, I want to get started and I want to talk about this. There's two enormous problems out there in the world, either which can actually take the system down to something you cannot imagine this world turning into. So I'm going to tell you guys, enjoy this Christmas, because things are setting up really bad for 2023, and it's seriously, this is getting to be serious stuff. I'm going to get into it in a minute, but really enjoy this Christmas. What can I say? I'm going to get right into it. Let's start the charts right here and take a look at this. Ads galore. The United States is preparing to send Patriot missile defense systems to Ukraine. You know what those do? Patriot defense systems. You guys know what they do. What they do is it sets up a no-fly zone. That's basically what it does. Do you remember toward the start of the Ukraine war, they were talking about setting up a no-fly zone, and then cooler heads prevailed? And the reason why was they knew it would probably cause World War III, because if U.S. defense systems start shooting down Russian jets and Russian bombers and things like that, that it's going to lead to an escalation in the war that could very possibly lead to World War III. So they didn't do it. Well, it looks like as the war is waged on, it looks like now it says they're going to start to partner with the Kyiv government and send in things at long-range air defense systems to protect the skies over Ukraine. You know, in other words, a no-fly zone by any other words. Protect the skies above the country, it says. It says a regular barrage of Moscow missiles and drone strikes Ukraine has been asking the United States to send advanced long-range air defense systems to protect the skies over the country. And ultimately what it comes down to is they're not just going to send these, I guess, later they're even going to, it says, right here, it says later for donations of Patriot systems and fighter jets. So I guess they're going to be able to scramble the jets in the sky. Those jets would have to be piloted by NATO NATO personnel or United States personnel, one of the two, and their job is going to be to shoot down Russian aircraft. So, I mean, what does this all amount to ultimately? Unless something happens to get rid of this war, it's like a festering. It's like a patient who's got a festering lesion or something, you know, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. Eventually it leads to amputation, and after that it leads to death of the patient. One thing leads to another. It's like one step on a slippery slope now and toward where we're headed toward World War III. This is what's going on. We're going to take a look at something else here. The second problem. Now this is the first problem I'm talking about. It's going to start to really manifest itself in the first quarter next year. And there's another problem, and this is a problem that Ron Paul is talking about, the mother of all economic crises. Now, what I want to point out to you guys is the war problem could resolve itself. It is a possibility. Peace might come along in some strange way to save us from the war monster. But there's no saving us from this. This is math. This is built into the system, so deeply entrenched it's built into the system. This debt that goes all the way back to 1913 and the establishment of the Federal Reserve. There's no way out of this. And ultimately, it says it will lead to social unrest and violence. There's no way around it. The mother of all economic crises. It go on to list the highlights here. Staggering amounts of debt held by individuals, businesses, and the government. And it says it'll soon lead to the mother of all economic crises. A debt-based economy where they get money at near or at zero interest rates and quantitative easing policies pursued by the Federal Reserve, then price inflation will wreak havoc on the American people. It's the same thing for Great Britain. It's the same thing for a number of other countries, Canada included, and United Kingdom. We're talking about Japan. We're talking about a number of other places. South Korea. It doesn't matter where you are. You're going to feel this. It says, and now what they're trying to do, rate increases, they're leading to only more negative economic effects. And it says the main reason the Fed cannot raise rates anywhere near what they would be in a free market is the effect it would have on the federal government's ability to manage its debt. So they're trapped, basically. Where's this going to lead? It says the crisis will lead to social unrest and violence, as well as increased popularity of authoritarian movements on both the right and left wing to try to solve the problem, these authoritarian movements. But none of it's going to work. Do you guys remember I did shows in the past on what our civilization is going to look like in the future? How we are going to have areas where people live where there's no law, no order, that I call the Badlands. Vast areas that are going to be bordered off from urban sprawl where we live in a very high-tech society under a tremendous amount of control. If you guys have read the book called The Brave New World, it describes this kind of a civilization in there. In fact, one of the people in the book, that it discusses, he wanted to get some sort of a pass to go into the restricted areas, which were basically what I refer to as the Badlands, where people aren't under the control. The control grid probably won't stretch the whole world because the world's population is going to be diminished significantly from what it is now. And the people are going to live in these highly controlled areas where they live in a type of dystopic type of world. And then outside those areas is going to be Badlands, where people do anything they want. But they're not going to have the technological base. So in Badlands, you're not going to have the high-tech internet and this and this and this, all the goodies that go along with high-tech. It's going to be very low-tech. But this is what the world's going to look like, and it's something like the novel, of The Time Machine, where he went way off into the future and he entered into a world where there was a breakdown in society again, and it was structured in two tiers, where you had the Moleks who lived underground, and the Elons who lived up above the surface, and one part would take advantage of the other part. And we've often had, like in the past, we've had two-tiered societies where you had the nobility and you had the waifs and serfs and stuff, and the slaves. It seems like humanity always heads in this direction of this kind of a. Why do we do it to ourselves? Anyway, I'm straying from the topic matter. I got to get back on it here, and we're going to talk about the markets now. 23.83 for silver today. It's up again, and it's continuing to march upwards. They're on the scent, like a hound dog on the scent. The people, the investors and stuff out there, they're smelling it that the turn is going to come pretty soon. And they always like to front run things, and so there's going to be a massive moves coming in the future upwards for gold and silver. We're looking at silver today. It's at 23.83. It's starting to get a lot higher than it was. I think you could have had it at 18.50. Okay, gold is at 18.11. It's up 80 cents on the day so far. Now cryptos today. Cryptos has been catching a bid somewhat. It's slow, but it's a slow start, but sluggish. But we're looking at 18,040 for Bitcoin today, and 1338 for Ethereum. Taking a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average today at 34,261. It's up 152 points on the day so far, and now we're looking at the crude oil at 76.90 on the day so far. And it's up $1.51 or 2%. Now the MOVE index today is at 135.08. And we're looking at bonds and rates today, and we're seeing rising yields on the long end of the yield curve, and we're seeing the U.S. 10-year at 3.48. It's down 1.5 basis points. And the rising yields is at the 20-year and 30-year. We're looking at 3.74 on the 20-year and 3.53 on the 10-year, and it's up not quite 1 basis point. Now let's take a look at the dollar index, and it's at 103.80 on the US dollar index. This is kind of unbelievable to me that they're going to try to set up a no-fly zone over Ukraine. Because what do they think, that Russia's gone away? That somehow because Russia's weakened somewhat? I realize Russia's weakened and is in a bit of a more weakened position than they were when they started the war. I mean, they've lost a lot. They've lost a tremendous amount of tanks. They've lost a tremendous amount of equipment as the war has progressed. A tremendous amount of men, you know. But they still got their nuclear arsenal. They've still got their high-tech part of their nuclear arsenal. They've still got weapons, WMDs, you know, and I mean, they've got tremendous amount of technology still, and they are still what's referred to as a superpower. They still have a lot of the stuff they had back when they were the former Soviet Union, and the world is very aggressive right now. And instead of de-escalating, they are very slowly but surely sleepwalking us into something where we don't want to be. What can I say? You know? And certain men are leading us in this direction because they want to win at all costs. It's as simple as that. They don't care what the costs are. But we the people, we should care what the costs are, because how are you going to live in a world where you can't step outside your bunker unless you get a lethal dose of radiation? That could be the cost. Because these weapons, I mean, they can accidentally fall on a nuclear warhead, could fall on top of a nuclear power plant and a nuclear containment facility, and blow it all to smithereens and release enough radiation to spoil the entire Earth. We could extinct ourselves. Is that what they want? Anyway, thank you guys for listening to my show. Like and subscribe and hit that notification icon. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.